Assalamu alaikum guys, this is Faisal Abbas again. In today's lecture we're going to cover what security groups are, how to manage them, how to set them up. So I think let's get started. Let's sink our teeth in. So I'm going to go and log into the console. Okay, so it's asking me for the MFA code. Let me log into the authenticator real quick here. So the MFA code right now is 252145. All right. Okay, so we are logged into the console now, and you see, you can always verify. You always have to verify that which account you are logged in as. I actually logged in with my root account, and my current region is North Virginia. Okay, so to set up the security group, we're gonna go into under the compute. We're gonna click on the EC2, and we're gonna scroll down at the bottom pane. The left pane, and under the network and security, we're gonna click on the security groups. Okay, so here on the security groups, you see that there is one default security group already created. This is already created once you create your free triad account. Once you log into the console, you will always see a default security group, and there are several other default things you're gonna find out. VPC is one of them. So we're gonna talk about it in a bit. So let me give you a quick overview what a security group is. So security group is it's like network access control list, or NACL in a short form. So what NACL does is it's like a port sentry, or it's like a sentry who sits at your perimeter, or where and it looks into that what request is coming in for which port, and what request is coming out of which port and going into what port. And what it does is it actually filters it based on the policy it was the policy which was mentioned into it. Unlike the NACL in security group, we have pretty much the similar thing. We have the inbound rule that whatever traffic is coming into our system, and what traffic is going out of our system. So the key difference between NACL and security group is in NACL, let's say you have several hundred rules there, or several or a bunch of rules there. So whichever the rule is gonna connect or look into first, it will execute that rule, and after that rule, it's gonna discard the rest of the rules. But in the security group, what happens is if we have a couple of security rules there, what it does is it reviews all the security rules, and then apply them. Let's say you have open policy for the let's say for the incoming which is coming from all the IP addresses, and then down the road, or down there, you have another rule to filter it out to certain specific subnets. So it reviews them all, and then apply the security rule. So another thing about the security rule is we can call it a virtual firewall that sits there, that actually works as the look into whatever the packet is coming in, where it is destined to, or what port it is trying to hit into, or vice versa, that what port is hitting off of, or hitting to, and which route is gonna go off of. So these are the basics on the security rule side. We're gonna create one security group with inbound and outbound setup. So let's go ahead and create that. So on top here you see the create security group, so we're gonna click on it. We're gonna name it as let's say we're gonna name with SSH HTTP RDP access. I'm sorry, RDP. Description is optional, but whatever you wanted to provide the description into it. SSH into and RDP and HTTP protocols to AWS instances. Okay. All right. The VPC is we do not have any additional VPC created. We're gonna use the default VPC, and in our subsequent lectures we're gonna discuss in very detail about the VPC, what VPC is, what it does, and all that. Okay, alrighty, so I'm gonna click on the inbound and I'm gonna click on the add rule. Okay, so this security group we are creating to access our, let's say, Linux boxes or Linux VMs or Linux EC2 instances at the SSH port, and let's say we have some web server running onto it as well. So we're gonna enable the inbound access to the HTTP port, which is the 80 port. SSH is port 22, and also just to add additional one, we're gonna add additional one for our Windows servers to access our Windows servers through the RDP. So we'll enable the RDP access as well. So under the type, there are several common types which are already mentioned in here. So you can pick it up. If you do not see your specific one, you can always create a custom protocol. Let's say your server is listening to a specific port which is not mentioned in here. You can always create it into it. All right, so let's create one first, the SSH access. So I'm gonna click on the SSH. SSH runs on the TCP, and the default port is 22, unless your systems are connecting or listening to a separate, a different port other than the port 22. All right, source is where the traffic is coming from. So it could be custom, it could be some specific CIDR or some specific IP address which where it is coming from. Let's for now let's just create it for anywhere, or you can provide any specific IP using the my IP. So if I click on anywhere, so you see that 0.0.0/0 comma ::/0. What does it mean? So the first notation before the comma is the IPv4 notation, and the notation after the comma is the IPv6 notation. Once we go into the our network section or network lecture, we're gonna discuss more about it. But 0.0.0.0/0 in IPv4 notation means anywhere or any IP address this request is coming from, it will cater to that. Or if there's a IPv6 configured to that, the source, the ::/0 denominates or tells you the similar thing what it was telling you on the IPv4 ranges. Description is is optional if you wanted to put any description here. So this is the inbound rule for SSH. With inbound means that you have the EC2 instance, Linux instance running, and it is listening to port 22, so you can SSH into it from your desktop or from your laptop or from anywhere or any system which is capable of running the SSH protocol in. Okay, let's add additional one. Let's add the HTTP one. Okay, so the default port for HTTP is 80. We're gonna do the similar thing, any IP, and then add additional one for the RDP protocol. Okay, so RDP is right here, and we have the port 3389 for the RDP, which is the default port, and we're gonna do the similar thing for the RDP. Okay, so we have our inbound rules created. Let's do the similar. Let's look into the outbound rules. So outbound rule is, let's say our Linux EC2 instance, it is running a web server and it is going to connect to, let's say, another EC2 instance which is running, let's say RDS or any other service. You can have the traffic going from that specific Linux machine to your other EC2 instance, let's say. So at this time, we're gonna just keep it all open. So all the outbound traffics are open. So all traffic, the type is all traffic. Protocol all, it could be TCP, it could be UDP. Port range is, the default port range is 0 to 65535. 65535. So this many ports, 65,000 ports, you can 65,000 and a change, you can open those ports to have the outbound access enabled. Destination is anywhere, so it could be your EC2 instance is making the outbound connection to anywhere, to the outside. All right, so we have our inbound rules created, we have our outbound rules created. Let's click on create here. So here you go, we have our first security group created. Hope this lecture makes you understand what security groups are and how to create the security groups, inbound and the outbound ones. Alrighty, see you in the next lecture.